Hi, everybody. Welcome to MJ Comix. I'm your host, James Mack, and tonight I'm joined by Laurence from Mighty Comics and Collectibles. Welcome, Laurence, to the channel.
Thanks for having me, James. Appreciate it.
No worries, mate. I'm really glad that you reached out and asked to come on. You were on the list for me to approach, so I'm really glad that you wanted to jump on and chat. To be fair.
No, I've actually been watching your stuff over the past year, and I love your interviews. You're very thoughtful and compassionate. So I said, who else better to come on and have a conversation with?
Oh man, genuinely I really appreciate that. Such nice words, honestly. You have like a really, I mean, for anybody who is watching who's not aware of Lawrence's channel, you do a lot of like comic book investment content. So that would be like a top 10 comics breakdown for that week, and like anything to do with like the market and any books that are particularly like key or like specking. But you also do one of probably my favorite skits at the moment, which is the comic book community news. I think they're absolutely fantastic.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. So it's just meant to be a spoof. I've done three so far, and it's not something I'm going to do all the time because there's just not enough news to be able to make fun of.
Yeah.
But let's not forget it's just supposed to be making fun of us all. We're not poking fun at anybody else. It's just about us, breaking each other's chops, right? All the stupid shit that we do on YouTube.
Yeah, no, and to be fair, there's these past couple of months, there seems to have been quite a lot of stuff, really much more normal than normally so. So I really appreciate that your thought process into doing it. It's really enjoyable content. It's a lot better than some of the stuff that's been put out there.
Thank
Uh,
you. I always try, and that's you said I do a lot of investment stuff. That's not always by design. I don't always like to talk about money,
yeah,
but with that said, whatever I try to put out stuff, I try to be entertaining, even if I do have some knowledge on something. Some things I absolutely do not, but I just try to entertain whenever I come on. So
no, you do. To be fair, and what I learned from somebody was that it's not about the content that you put out, it's about the value. And I think you put out very valuable content for people. And you've got a great channel. You've got 11,000 subscribers. Like
at the moment,
I-
yeah.
you're continually growing. So I genuinely wish you all the best. I think you're a very good channel.
Thank you so much, James. And likewise, like I said, if I'm gonna go to an interview, I get excited when I start seeing you put out like something like you did for us. Like, oh, Sunday he's doing an interview with so and so. Like, I always put the notification on because I want to listen. I like listening to stuff more as watching it at times, especially because a lot of the times I watch YouTube, it's like when I'm driving to New York because I work in New York and I live in New
Oh, okay.
Jersey. So it's when I'm in the car. So I like listening to things.
Yeah, Sam, I'm exactly the same. I love driving and listening to like live shows and stuff. That I think it's really, really, really good. I'm really getting into like podcasts recently as well. I always thought, oh, podcasts, but like listening to people, especially while I work, I really enjoy it. I think it's like a really good process.
Absolutely, especially if it's a topic that you have some interest in. Like I do listen to like the Comic-Con podcast. I think they do a good job. Even though a lot of the times I don't even know like some of the content that they're talking about. Like a lot of it's new books and stuff, which I don't do too much with.
Yeah.
So even if I don't know a little about, I'm learning from them as well. So not just comic stuff, I do arcade stuff I listen to, stuff like that.
That's great. I think my whole thing behind doing these interviews is although obviously I want to produce content for people to watch, I like to talk to people. And like, there's so many people in this community that I've never spoken to or interacted any other way except for obviously just watching the videos and maybe occasionally comment on them. So I really appreciate you coming on and giving me that chance to do that. It's
My
you.
pleasure.
So that's okay. What I'll do is, if anybody's got any burning questions for Laurence, um, put them in the chat, and then I will put a star on them, and then we'll come back to them at the end. But what I will do is I will say some quick hellos to people in the chat now, crack on with some questions, and just have some fun. If that's all right. So we have my darling wife, who is my moderator. We have JSS Brooklyn, really appreciate you joining, buddy. We have DJ Links in the house. Thank you very much for watching, buddy. We have Jason Parker Comics. He has recently started doing video content again, which is phenomenal. One of my favorite channels going. We have Darth Lopez from the multiverse. Really appreciate you coming through. We have Alex. Alex, thank you very much for joining us. We have Gem Mint Collectibles in the house, who is awesome. We have Synthetic Panels. Thank you very much for joining us. There's quite a few people. We have Manu, the 9.9 newsstand. Manu, how are you, buddy?
My
We have
man.
John Stout. Very much appreciate you coming along for the journey. We have Need to See. We have Jose 2099. Need to see Mighty in the blonde wig. Definitely need to see that. That is you can't get that out of your head. JSS Brooklyn has asked a question, but I will put a star on that, and we'll get to that, buddy. Really appreciate you asking the question. We have Reston's Last Stand. Reston, thank you very much for joining us. We have Derek Newman in the house. Thank you very much, Derek, for joining us. JSS Brooklyn has asked another question. I'll star that. And then we have any other joiners? No. But what I like to do is I kind of like to break the ice, Laurence. So my first question is really just like myself and the audience getting to know you a little bit. So it's pretty much, who is MJ Comix and Collectibles? Who is Laurence? What are you about?
The channel is just about everything that I grew up and I loved. But
Yep.
to get into my whole backstory is like I've always collected comics or something my whole life. Comics when I was a kid, I've told this story a bunch where, I had access to a lot of comics because my dad used to own a like pharmacy, but it was like more like a 5 and 10 store. I don't know if you know what that is. It's like where they have every bit of everything. They had comics, they had knickknacks for your house, they had everything. So I had early access to comics when I was a kid. Um,
Yep.
and I got into reading and I got into the artwork and stuff like that. So I would always collect them. Of course, I was reading a lot of Spider-Man, a lot of Batman, Hulk, Punisher, stuff like that. But after I graduated college, like I probably left comics when I was like 14 or 15. And of course, a million other things going on. But after I got out of college in like the early 2000s, I got back into it.
Yep.
When CGC came about, I was like an early adopter of CGC. I bought my first AF-15 roughly around the same time, submitted it to CGC, and I had no idea what I was doing. But
Wow.
um, I, I bought all like my favorite first appearances back then because
Can I
I
can I just
yeah,
stop you there, Laurence?
yeah.
You've just dropped like a major bombshell. Like, you bought your first AF-15. That is incredible.
Yeah, I don't own multiple. I'm just saying, like, the first time
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
bought an AF-15. Okay, yeah. So,
Yeah.
like, it's just like I always wanted it. I always enjoyed the characters. The characters always have been a part of me, and everything you see here and everything you see on the channel is everything that I've grown up with. Like, you see me do Garbage Pail Kids videos. There are people out there if they watch my arcade stuff that I grew up with. Toys are another thing that I've tried to do toy stuff on the channel, but
Yeah.
not a lot of people watch it. But that's what this is. It's just a way for me to kind of relive the best time of my life. And I think a lot of people who are around my age growing up in the 80s, that was such a great time for everything collectible now. So me, myself, that's what I'm about. I want to still go through all those times and kind of collecting and talking about it allows me to do that. But I'm
Yeah.
just a regular guy who likes all this stuff.
No, but I mean, we'll get into it later on because it's one of the topics. But like, an AF-15 is an absolute dream book for me. Like, we're talking Endgame scenario here. Like, so for you to have that such early on, you know, I can't even imagine what your collecting habits were like after that.
Well, it's weird because that's like the first thing that I bought because I was such a huge Spidey fan and I'm still a huge Spidey fan, but like I knew how important that book was. I just
Yep.
saved up and just back then I could if I told you what I paid for it, you probably hit the floor. And it was like it came back at 2.5 from CGC after I sent it in.
Yep.
But and we're talking about like 2001, 2002, 2003 time. I paid 4,000 for it. So what's a 2.5 now is like $25,000. So I
Oh,
mean, yeah, it was a lot of money, but it wasn't that much, it wasn't the incomes back then weren't as far off as they, as you would think the price of that book should be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like it wasn't that bad back then. But spending that kind of money now would be it's a lot. Back then it was like it's a lot of money, but it's not like crazy money like it is
Yeah.
now.
If you don't mind me asking, what year was that? Was
I think it was in 2002, 2003, around that time frame because I graduated college in 2000.
Oh wow. Okay. So
I'm
you
old.
wow. Yeah, I was gonna say. Well, not to be flattering, but you don't look like you're that old. To be fair, I didn't think you would.
Thank you. Thank you. That is a great compliment to me.
No, it's okay. It's all right.
I feel 110, but I'm glad I don't look that old.
No, no, I've got two little ones, and like bending down to pick stuff up and getting down onto their level. It's like
Yep.
when I get back up, I'm like, oh, I'm at my knees or at my leg. So it's hard going, man. It's hard going.
It is.
No, but we've had a couple more people join us. We have Razor Comics in the house. Thank you very much, Razor, for joining us, buddy. We appreciate it. I don't know if there's anyone else. Just saw Razor, I'm guessing. But we've had a couple of questions in from the ever reliable JSS Brooklyn and Manu, the 9.9 newsstand. But they're asking about snapbacks or strapbacks or something. Is that something that you use?
I saw the comment. It's the hat. So Manu, if you want a hat, I have extra hats. If you're just asking the brand of the hat, I can get you the brand of the hat. I'll message you on Instagram. But yes, they're fitted because I like fitted hats. So they're not snapbacks, but they're good quality. I have black, I have red. I even did a blue one, which I don't like, but they're really cool. They're really comfortable. And if you get enough made, they're pretty cheap. So if you want one, I'll message you. Or if you just want to know the brand, I'll message you as well.
You heard that from the man himself, Manu. But I mean, I can't. My hair does not allow for hats. I'm dreadful.
You have great hair. What are you talking about? Your hair is like perfect, bro.
No, I mean, hat obviously ruins my hair if I wear a hat, so I don't try and wear one. But no, no. Okay, so that answers that question. So that's pretty good. JSS Brooklyn has asked, "How did you become professionally involved in the comic book community?" Oh wow, what a question!
So I don't know about professionally, but back in so I got married about 7 years ago. My wife's gonna kill me if she watches this, but today is actually our anniversary. So
Oh,
um
congratulations, happy anniversary!
thank you. I'll let her know you said that.
Yeah, clip
But
it.
but I married 7 years ago, I think, and she has two boys, and the younger one was into Spider-Man. So of course we hit it off, and we started going to shows together, started getting comics together. He collects a little bit now. He collected more, of course. Now he's going to be 13, so he's starting to do other things like video games and stuff like that. He's getting more into, but like just doing this stuff with him again got me back into it
Yeah,
full time. And we watch YouTube together. And then I said to myself, you know what? I started watching Gem Mint. I started watching Comic Tom guys unboxing stuff. So as I was buying more stuff again, I said, you know what, I could do this. And if you go back and watch like my videos early on, they're so bad. They're terrible. But I got to be
it's
honest, I unboxed some of the amazing stuff back then.
oh wow, which you would love for like content now, a bit, which is
Yeah,
crazy.
it is. So like I enjoy doing it. I enjoyed getting in front of a camera. It's nerve-wracking at first, but still to this day, how many times like I do like outtakes? I should put up a video of
Of your
just the
bloopers.
outtake. Yeah, dude. Oh, it would be hysterical. But it got me focused on something outside of work, outside of home, got me focused on something that I enjoy. So that's how I got into it.
Oh, cool. We have Dem Dem. Oh, hello, Dem. Thank you very much for joining us. I won't even attempt to say it. And we have the Canadian Survivalist. Thank you very much. Really appreciate you joining us. So in terms of YouTube, then what made you start a YouTube channel? What was your thought process in that?
Like I said, I thought it would be fun to kind of get in front of a camera and just put it out there and to see if anybody else had
The same
see
interest?
yes, exactly, to put stuff out there because a lot of people during that time, 2018, 2019, where they were like people doing the same thing. So all of these new channels started popping up, and you see even more now. But back then it was a little bit smaller, and I'd find new people, and I would get hooked just watching it. And that was the time where like we got into 2020, where it's like COVID took over and everybody was home. So everybody was watching a ton of YouTube comic content. So that's when I had a little bit more time to put more stuff out. So it just became like a habit. I'm good with tech as well. So like I had to learn how to do a thumbnail. I had to learn how to do all
Yeah.
this stuff, and that keeps me interested in doing it, learning new things. I used to do videos in iMovie, then I moved to Final Cut Pro, and now I use a combination of a bunch of different things. So like it keeps me going, keeps me consistent. So that's why I do it.
That's cool. So you mentioned earlier about, that you watch Gem Mint and Comic Tom and people unboxing stuff. Has your channel been inspired by anyone in particular, or is it just like a mash of different channels?
That's a great question because I take inspiration from everybody that I watch. Tom, especially. I know he doesn't do his own editing, but he's so passionate about it, what he talks about.
Yeah.
Uh, his editing is great, so I'm always looking to see what they do because it does help me think about what I want to do going forward. Because if you ever watch anything that I put out, like I said, I try to make it entertaining, but I also try to put stuff across the screen. I do everything myself. Gem Mint is another guy. Like early on, he was doing live streams with Manimal. He was putting stuff out on his own. It just became like a hangout, and that's
Yeah.
what I was missing. Like I didn't have a lot of people in my area, at least back then, that had some of the passions that I had about this stuff. So like I didn't know anybody back then. So I took a lot of inspiration from those two. And then every time I watch somebody's video, like, oh, that's really cool. I try to see if I could recreate it myself and see if it's worth if I could do it, one, and two, if it's worth putting in something that I do going forward. So
Yeah.
everybody out there who puts out stuff, you're my inspiration.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting what you said about Tom and Jem, because I think when you say that you didn't have anyone in your local area like Jem did with Manimal, if you look at Jem now, his like community, the people that he interacts with on like his lives and stuff like that, they're from all over the world. So
Yeah.
it's something like, building an online community for people to come and watch your content is, I think you've got like a really good platform and channel to do that yourself. I don't know if you,
Thank you.
because I don't know, how do you feel with doing lives? Because you don't really do as much.
I would like to do more lives with somebody else. So, like, I don't know if you, I think you watched my video with Swaggle. We talked about the elephant in the room. To me, that's one
Yeah.
of my favorite videos because I just get to sit down, and it wasn't live, but I
It's a
pre-recorded it because,
pre-record, yeah.
yeah, because I don't want to have to pay attention to the chat. I do like doing like videos, but I need to do it with somebody else because I've been doing it by myself. It gets a little like monotonous. Like I'm just talking about one thing to the next thing to the next thing, where I actually would like having a conversation with someone. And that's what I love doing it with somebody else. That video I did with Swagloss, it's got some good views, but like just sitting there with someone who's like-minded to get, put stuff off each other. What do you think here? What do you think there? I think that's very entertaining. So I would
Yeah.
definitely like to do more. I just need a partner to do it.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, Mickey from Swaggle House Comics is very, very switched on when it comes to the comics as a subject matter. So that was a great video. I really enjoyed that. Really enjoyed it, actually. I enjoyed listening to it, to be fair.
It was
Um,
fun.
well, so your first video, I think, on your channel was the 25th of June 2018, and it looked something like a bit like this. So you
Oh, wow.
mentioned earlier about looking back and seeing, like, you probably unboxed some amazing stuff, but it probably wasn't done professionally, or as there's a clear difference to what your videos look like now in comparison to what that, well, 2018, that's like 6-7 years ago.
Yeah, it's 6 years ago. I don't know what the date was. I can't see the date. Um, if
Oh,
my memory serves me, is that a
let me
Hulk
remove the
181 that came
caption.
out of the box?
I
Oh,
can't
yeah, you go.
remember.
Six years ago. That doesn't give like a time, like a month is what I meant. But
Yeah,
yeah, I think that was a Hulk 181, but I don't remember. You can see I'm not even on screen though. That's how
that's
like
what I
I
mean. There's no
started.
thumbnail. That's just literally part of the video.
Yeah.
But when you compare it to, your channel's gone through. I think I can't remember what was your name when you started off. When you call like the comics guy or the mighty comics guy
My
or something like that.
Mighty Comics guy. Yep.
So you kind of gone through like a rebrand, and you released a video because were on a bit of a hiatus because you were known as the Mighty Comics guy, and then you rebranded into Mighty Comics and Collectibles. Is that
Mm.
around 2019?
Yeah, I think that's well, this is 2020, probably around 2019, 2020, around that time
Yeah,
frame.
yeah. What made you chat rebrand? I know
You know,
logos get better and stuff like that. You can get better logos, but
yeah, and I think that's part of it. If you do any type of content, if you're not pushing yourself to get better, I think you're just kind of you're always going to go sideways. You know what I mean? If you're not always pushing the envelope, what can I do better here? And that's part of what we just talked about a little bit before was like, I pull inspiration from other people because I see something, oh, I like that. Can I recreate it in a different way or in a similar way? And that's part of it. And we may eventually go through another rebranding because I have people who tell me that I should start putting out different type of content and rebrand as Mighty Entertainment, start doing other
oh
things. But we'll see, how it goes. But I think I got to focus on this for now, and then if we start doing other things, then we'll bring that over.
yeah, because you have you've got a website as well where you is your website pretty much for just interaction in terms of getting people to your channel or
Yes.
affiliate links and stuff like that? Is it?
Yeah, and I actually think that's going to come to an end at the some part of next year because I don't do enough with it to keep it around financially with Facebook, with Twitter, with obviously YouTube, with even TikTok, even though I don't really put stuff out on TikTok. Like there's just a lot of ways people can reach me. So I don't think it's necessary.
Yeah, and no, I mean, I've got a website. I did a couple of blogs on it, and it's like like a redirection to like the YouTube videos and stuff like that. But it just isn't. It's just too much with a day job and everything else and a young
Exactly.
family. It's just too. There's not enough time. Time is the most valuable commodity going, and there's just not enough time.
Exactly. I used to
Um,
put out like a newsletter through the website, and I haven't done it in years. So like that was another thing that is just you're right. I want to focus on just the things that I can, so I can do the other stuff in my life. I have a full time job as well.
Yeah. No, I genuinely don't blame you for not wanting to maybe pursue the website. We do have, and I've just realised this. I'm ever so sorry, Alex. We do have a super chat. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. We might as well ask us a question, but what is Lawrence's holy grail in his collection?
The AF-15 is the thing that I'm most, that I hold nearest to my heart because the character means everything to me. My copy you can see down there is signed by Stanley as well. But that's my favorite comic. But do have a holy grail that I don't tell anybody about that I acquired recently. Actually, the members of my channel know what it is. Some members, the highest level members, I promise them like a video once in a while of books that I'm going
Oh wow!
after, and I haven't done one in a while, and I finally acquired something, and it's sitting over here. That's why I keep looking down there. But
Oh
they
wow!
know what it is. Other than that, like that's like to me is like that's it. I don't want to relinquish that yet. Someday I will. But the AF-15 is like that to me is like the last book I'll keep. I'll pass that along to my youngest because he's a big Spidey guy, if I can.
Yeah. No. So, question then. You said that only high. Do you say high ranking members of the channel or
So like there's like three it's like a
tiers?
yeah, so like the highest ranking like and as an additional thing, I put out like a video every couple of months about if I'm looking for a certain book like before I buy it, I'll let them know. Say, "Hey, this is what I'm looking for. This is what I'm looking to do." Just kind of like give them like an insight into how I think about certain things. But I haven't done one in a while because I haven't really been looking for anything until I got that.
Oh wow! And that so those particular members on that tier, they've seen what it is. That's
If they
incredible.
watch the video, yeah.
Oh wow! So I think I so breaking news here. I actually joined the channel membership just to watch your latest community news while I was working away last week because I was desperate to watch it. Purely be purely because obviously I enjoy them, but I had really nothing much else to do, locked in a hotel room. Um, so I won't be able to get access to that video because I think I'm only at the bottom one.
Yeah.
Ah, well.
When we're done, I will show you what the book is if that helps you.
Yeah, that's fine.
As
And
long as
what
you
I'll
keep it
do is
between us.
I'll screen record after this, and I'll
Yeah.
use it as content for myself.
Yeah.
No, that'd be awesome. We have Eli. Thank you very much, Eli, for joining us as well. Um, yeah, so in terms for YouTube, then for me, we spoke a bit backstage about my YouTube journey. Um, I I've recently thought that I'm just literally just going to stick to doing interviews. I'm not going to bother putting any pre-records out because I just kind of feel like people really just tune in for the interviews more, and I just more prefer to for that to be like the value that I'm adding to the comic book community or the people who watch. Because I know that YouTube's like this is leading into the um, next subject, but I find myself that I'm addicted to YouTube. I don't know whether you find that yourself. Like, all I do is watch YouTube, and then all I do is think about like what videos I want to do, who do I want to get on. When I put out a video, I'm constantly checking to see, you know, how it's doing, and if it's not doing very well, or if it is doing well, it kind of affects my mood. I don't
Yeah.
know if are you a YouTube addict like me?
I think I've gone through that stage as well, and I think a lot of YouTubers do that where you're especially when you're first getting started or maybe when you hit a certain plateau and you're like, "All right, now I gotta push it a little bit and do what's best for
Yeah,
the channel." So, yes, at some point, I remember like in 2020, 2021, I did not want to miss a live stream of sales. I was watching Elite Comics 11, and I know we're not talking about YouTube, but I'll get to that in a second. I
yeah,
was
that's fine.
watching Torpedo Comics live sales. I did not want to not be home and watch the live sales. It's kind of the same thing where like, yes, I would constantly see how my video was performing. I'm constantly watching other YouTubers to see not only because they were putting out good content that I had interest in, but also how I could get better as someone who's in the same field. So yes, I know what you mean. I have slowed down significantly with watching a lot because I'm constantly looking for people who are entertaining, giving me something that I'm not getting as of now. And I think
Yeah,
you'll go through that. Like you're saying, like you want to focus only on interviews. I'm gonna tell you this: do what you enjoy, because if you just make it about YouTube, if you're just making about views, like it gets frustrating. And that's why you saw in that video, like that you posted before about like I took like a 2 year hiatus in between there or like a year
yeah,
hiatus. Part of it was because like I coach football. But
yeah,
I don't do that anymore. It's about a year and a half. But like part of it is because you get kind of to a point where like you become stagnant and you need to kind of either rebrand or do something different. So if you're enjoying doing a certain set of videos, like I said this to you backstage earlier, I like talking about Garbage Pail Kids, but
yeah,
I get like 500 views when I talk about them. But literally a year later, that's my most one of my most watched videos on my
yeah.
channel. So like do what you like. Eventually, if you do it well enough, people will start to watch.
Yeah, no, I mean, my favorite things are doing the interviews. To be fair, so that's kind of like a catch 22. So, no, yeah, I think with YouTube, like, do you care about getting views? Like, do you still care about it? Does it affect you as much still, or do you?
Does it affect me? No, it affects me to the point where like if I put out a really good video where I think, wow, that was really good, and I watch all my stuff because I don't want to say I'm my favorite YouTuber because that's not the way I want to sound, but like I watch myself to see if it's entertaining, if it's good content, if I'm giving people good information, if I screw up, because there are times I screw up. On my hot 10, I put the wrong card on there when I'm editing, or I misspeak. You see me in the beginning of YouTube, I don't have glasses. Now I have to wear glasses because my eyes are all jacked up. Um, so it's more about me seeing how my videos are performing. I don't get mad. I try to think about, well, what affected that video? And a lot of the times, like toy stuff, the garbage book stuff, nobody wants to watch it. But the Hot 10 comics get the same views every week. Like
Yeah,
same people are always watching that every week.
yeah, we'll get into the hot 10 comics. That's one of the subjects, but like for me, it's kind of like I when people say to me, "Oh, you shouldn't care about views, or you shouldn't," or I don't want to put out stuff that only like a couple of people are going to watch. I want it to, like, I've come onto this platform to, obviously to engage with people, but to try and produce something that people want to watch and come back for. Um, so I kind of think it's kind of hard. Do you think there's like a degree of like narcissism being on this platform? I ask this pretty much everybody, but
Yeah, definitely.
I'm not saying that you are narcissistic or anything like
No,
that, or but I
I
just think you got to have a little bit of it. There's a little bit of that burning desire to be like, hey, look at me, because if you're not that sort of person, then coming onto like the world's biggest platform might not be necessarily like a good thing to do. You don't feel that?
absolutely. And I think that's part of growth when you start. I definitely I'm an outgoing person, don't get me wrong, but I'm also like I've always been a loner my entire life. Like I
Mm,
was an only child. I grew up, I didn't get married till I was close to 40 years old. So um I just grew up alone. So like doing things by myself never that didn't stop me.
yeah,
So when I got on YouTube, granted I wasn't alone anymore, but I don't care what people think. I don't care whatever. I want you to like my videos, don't get me wrong, but like if I screw up, I screw up. It's not the end of the world. It's more about how can I get better? There is an end game to this, right? I would like to do something for like a company. I would like to either have a podcast, talk about other things that I enjoy. So if there's a company out there that wants me to talk about something, hopefully relating to comics or toys or anything collectible, because that's obviously the niche that we're in, is great because that would be the end game. But even if it wasn't, it's just something that I enjoy. I could come in here and talk to you all day because
yeah.
it's something that I found like the 5, 6 years that I've been doing this, that like, you know what, man, this is so much fun just getting here and talk about stuff that we like.
Yeah, yeah. No, and that for me is exactly why I love doing these interviews. You meet interesting people like yourself. I've met some like on it genuinely, I've met some fantastic people, and I know, I've recently come into like some uh controversy where someone has said to me that you can't believe that I like everybody I meet. I mean, that just happens to be so far everybody I've met, including yourself, Laurence, I've liked. So I'm kind of dreading the day that I come across somebody who I don't like.
I think
I don't know how I'm going to behave in front of them.
I'm the same way as you. Like, you know what? If we have like commonalities and we talk and we have a conversation, like what's not to like? Like as long as somebody's
Yeah,
not like abrasive or putting you down. Like I used to get a lot of flack about giving my opinion on the hot 10 comics of the week, and you got to learn to take it in stride and just kind of like people can have disagreements. It's fine. It's just like, if you enjoy talking about something and whatever, there should never be you know, a battle of whatever. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. No, that's what I'm trying to take away from this all and trying to prepare myself for. So, but yeah, like I said, like I've really, I mean, we've been talking for 30 minutes. We talked a bit backstage. I don't have like I don't get like a bad feeling from you.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
you're all good in my books, man. But we've got a couple of questions before I get on to the next subject. Um, and that is, might as well just, JSS Brooklyn has asked quite a few, but Manu has put, he'd love to know the details. He'd buy one of your
You know what?
snapbacks.
You don't have to buy it. I'll send you one, brother. I'm to people I'm closer with, like, and we talked touched this on a little bit before. Like, I have so many people now that I talk to in the community that like we constantly have discussion with. That they have my phone number, whether we talk on IG, wherever. Like people email me, like literally, I get 3 emails a week, whether it's about Garbage Pail Kids or
Yeah.
comics or whatever. Like I welcome the conversation, right? Nobody's ever mean or nasty. We talk about stuff we enjoy. So like like that's the best part of YouTube is meeting new people. As
Yeah.
like me and you never spoke before until I reached out to you about this, and now I hope that we get to conversate more.
No, no, exactly, exactly. And I'm really, like I mentioned earlier, I'm really glad that you reached out. Um, and it was like I felt like a great time for me as well. Right, so let's have a quick look. What other we got? Um, yeah, we asked that one. Uh, what makes it great content, in my opinion? You created a fun parody show without trying to harm anyone on purpose, even folks with thin hides. It's fun stuff. It's on about your comic book community news, I'm guessing.
Yeah,
But
it's just making fun of each other, us. Like I make fun of CGC. I've used CGC. Like I haven't used them in a while, but I just use them to grade video games. So like it's just come on, we gotta poke the bear a little bit, and we're not doing it in a malicious way.
No. I've I mean, CGC are kind of like always giving something for us to talk about. There's never not really a few months go by that something doesn't happen. Um, but like, I've actually just recently bought my first graded video game. I'm quite excited to get it. Um, so what video games you got?
Hold on, I'll show you. Right here.
In fact, this is one of the subjects. Go on.
I
Oh
I bought
my!
I bought this at my LCS. So I saw somebody ask a question about my LCS. Like I have one of the best LCSs around, and
Wow.
they had this, and they posted on Instagram, and I snatched it up immediately for a really good price. A bunch of them, they had a really good price. They're complete. So like I sent it into CGC because I wanted to see what it was all about, the video game aspect of it.
So that is a Super Mario. Super Mario, but is it Super Mario? But it's not Brothers. It's just Super Mario, isn't it?
No, Super Mario Brothers. Their
Super
first
Mario
one
Bros.
from the NES. Like I'm a huge video game, like old school video game, like classic arcade, classic you know, games. That's me. I love that stuff.
So is that the five screw one, or is that like just the normal? I don't know if it was sat on the box, but there's like a more
Three,
rarer
three screw. I don't know. I
three
don't know.
screw.
I don't know which is rare, what's not. I don't know anything about that stuff.
I think the five screw one is more. There's not as many of them as around because I think they're like the first couple, and then Nintendo turned around and was like, you know what, we can save some money if we don't use five screws. We just use three, and I think like those are like the later ones. I'm guessing, but that must be worth quite a bit of money.
I have no idea. I literally bought it for like $150 from my LCS, and I got a couple of more that I have graded that I got from them as well.
I'm trying to find my ones. I've got one box somewhere, but I can't find it. No, that's super awesome. That is. Right, so we get on to the next question. Hold on, where do you draw your investment data from? Genuinely creating the top 10. Appreciate your show, but I'll tell you what, JSS Brooklyn. That's the next question. We're going to be talking about your top 10 hot comics. So I don't know if did you watch my interview with Tom, Comic
Yes.
Tom? So he mentioned in the interview, and I'll play this very quick snippet of video, but he alludes to that basically the hot 10 comics anybody could do that content. Like that Tom produces his videos like a few days after that list is produced. So I'll just play that clip just now.
We built something that's so strong. And when I say we built it, it's not just us. I mean, this is a list that anyone could make content on.
Yeah.
This is out for days before we ever release the video. And some people do. It's Key Collector Comics. Shout out Nick Colonies.
So what he's referring to there obviously is that anyone could produce that content. And you, like you say, and exactly like the same with Tom, those videos produce like consistent numbers for views. So is that something why you chose to like incorporate that into your channel? Like,
so actually, my version of what I do, it wasn't my idea. If you guys know who Alan, the comic collector geek is,
yeah,
at one point years ago, we had a conversation about doing something together, and I would still like to do something because he has a great YouTube channel as well. He came up with the idea of doing the same list, but give our opinions on it. Now, he wanted more of like just a conversation like we're having right now, where I just wanted, it's like, you know what, I want to bang it out. I want to give my opinion. I want to make it entertaining and see where it goes. So like I decided to do it on my own and see how people responded to it. And the response was pretty good. So like it wasn't my idea, but again, the whole purpose of my channel is to entertain. And I think
yeah,
sometimes when you're doing long-winded videos, people lose interest. At least I do. Like I know that if I'm watching like a half hour, and it's not like a podcast, if I'm just watching a half hour, people reading data or reading prices, I get bored with it. So I try to
yeah,
make it quick.
yeah. No, and to be fair, like I mentioned earlier, the quality of your content like is great. like the production value, the information, it's great. For me, the top 10 comics when I, was originally first watching Comic Tom's videos years ago, they for me, like, I had the majority of those books like already in my collection. So I was watching those videos not to see what books to go out and buy. If they're already on that list, like for me, you don't want to be buying them.
Yep, absolutely.
So I used to just get really excited about watching that list to see what books I had and thought, oh, these are worth so much more now, like in comparison to what I bought them for. So I always think that you're kind of hitting two audiences there. You're hitting people who are interested to see what books to buy, and not really probably knowing that that's probably like the worst time to buy it, or people who already own those books and thinking, you know what, I could sell this book at the moment and get, like, it's probably the best time to sell it because people will be looking.
I think especially 2020, 21, and 22, like that was people were really using that list and all the other lists that are out there to really buy and sell and drive up or drive down the price of books. Now I think it's gone a little bit more calm down, where people aren't looking to those lists to see what to buy as much. But the difference between my list and Tom's list, and I love Tom and I think he does a great job, and I still watch his list to this day. They go up a little bit more in depth on every book and every sale that the Key Collector app provides. I don't make the list. I just read it off at the Key Collector app. Definitely get it. It's definitely useful for things. I don't always go by their prices. I use GPA and Comic Link and stuff like that for prices, but their list it's a good list. I wish it, changed over a little bit more than it does, because we're seeing certain books on the list for like a year, which is crazy.
Yep.
But
constantly on them. Yep.
Yeah, I take like 1 or 2 sales. Sometimes I'll do 3 if I think I see like a third important sale, and I try to focus on sales at like more modern books, Copper and Modern. If there's a 9.8, that's a decent price, I'll just do the 9.8. And then like more Silver Age, I'll pull, a higher grade and like a mid grade, because there's people in, both collecting categories. Me, like on a lot of Silver, I'm a mid grade collector, so I like to see what those books are selling for, to see what deals I can get on certain books. So
yeah, no, I mean, the Key Collector app is it is a great app. Like, I remember, like, my brother, he was very new to comic collecting, and he, like, having access to that app, like, kind of like made him. He was like, he knew all about what first like these books, like this is the first appearance for such and such, and like I was having to rely on my own knowledge, like on who, like the first appearance in that particular book was, but he was just getting it all instant from the app. So it kind of like gives modern collectors like a massive advantage now looking for stuff. But that's the way I feel on it. So your videos, like your video with Swag the other day, like again was really good. You said that you're looking for another person to do that sort of content with. Have you reached out to anybody, or have you got anyone in mind, or you putting any feelers out or anything like that?
A while ago, I put out like I do this once in a blue moon on Instagram, and I put out there saying, if anybody wants to come on a live show with me, let me know. But as for like a partner to do a show with, like Tom does, like I would love that. But I think we have to agree to do it a certain way where it's entertaining. I think that's sometimes where it gets a little muddled, because I think coming on and doing an interview and talking about stuff for an hour and a half, 2 hours is great, but I don't necessarily think it's informational and entertaining if we're talking about like a hot 10 type of thing. I would like to find someone who'd want to do the same thing. Absolutely.
So it would have to be someone who you would want, to fall in with the whole entertainment aspect to it. So provide a bit of because you don't want it just to be like reading off numbers and
exactly.
You don't want it to be boring. You want it to be a bit exciting. So that sounds like I think that sounds like that would be really good if you can find the right person to do it.
I think it would be entertaining, right? And if somebody got a little bit of information while they're being entertained, I think that's the best of both worlds.
Yeah, like I said before, adding value and entertainment is a great combination. Manu has said that he hasn't bought his first graded game yet, nor has he graded any. But the day for both is coming, no question. So I think Manu knows probably what game I've bought, but it's coming. I bought it through. Is it Ali Collectibles on
Yes.
Instagram? I bought it through them. It's my first time purchasing through them, so I'm really excited. It's on its way. I think it's coming next week. Razor Comics says that he thinks he knows a guy, so he's probably on about himself, maybe.
I mean, yeah. I mean, for me, the graded game thing is probably only going to stick to NES games, the original NES, because that's like what I grew up with. I love that system. I'm probably not going to take it further than that. If I could find a couple others that I want, I may do it, but that'd probably be it.
Yeah, I mean, NES and SNES are my favorite go-to retro games anyway. So yeah, so we've got a couple more questions as well. JSS Brooklyn has asked, do you have a background in the entertainment industry?
No, not at all.
No.
Not at all. But as a kid, you always grow up and you want to do certain things. Like I'm definitely creative. Like when I grew up, I drew my own comic. Um, I've always been creative. So like I always try to do things and like entertain and do stuff on my own. But no background in it. It's just something that I enjoy.
Yeah, there you can see that because you've had so much fun, obviously doing the comic book community news. I think you come across as like, for me personally, I can't say for everybody, but for me, you come across like you love to talk about the subject that you're talking about. You're quite clearly passionate about it, but you also do it in an entertaining way.
I think you just have to be creative. I want my thought process during that whole video was like, what can we do that nobody's done before? And that's the whole thing with YouTube, in my opinion, especially in the comic book space or the collectible space, is like everybody could kind of sit up here and just talk into a camera and go from there. But like, how can I make it where I'm doing something different than everybody else? And it's
Yeah.
making it like that's what I'm trying to go for.
No, definitely keep it up. Honestly, it's really good, really good. Jose 2099. You have what many consider multiple Grail books. What is your end game? Oh,
That's a great question. I've addressed this on my channel. Like, I don't have that many comics anymore. You have, see, 5 books behind me. Let me go the other way. So there's 5 right there. I have 1 more here. Actually, 2 more here. Excuse me. That's 7. And I have my ASM 12301. That's it. That's all I got.
Are you telling me that you are done with collecting comics? You got comic book burnout? Because you did produce like a really good video. I think it was, I don't know if it was a year ago or like 8 months ago, maybe, where you talked about this. It was a great video. But you pretty much what we just discussed here now is that you have a Batman 1. Is that what's directly behind you there? You've got a Batman 1.
I tried to move over and you can't see it. It's there you
sorry.
go. Oh, it's a Superman 1 and a Batman 1. But the Superman 1 is incomplete and it's restored. So like the cover and back cover is reproduction. So it's not, it's not complete. But yeah, and that's the whole point of this, is like my end game is that, I'm lucky enough where I got into collecting early. Like I said, as a kid, reading and, the art was my favorite part of it. I did enjoy reading certain comics. But then getting back in the early 2000s, it allowed me to have books that I've always wanted. And being single for a long time, and I hate to be this guy, but you know what? You don't have kids, you don't have whatever. And, it affords you to be able to go through stuff. So I've owned everything. So the end game was, all right, I grew up with Copper Age books and a little Bronze Age, but more so Copper Age. Then, of course, when the moderns hit, and I consider modern like those 90s books, like when all the foils came out, to me, that those are modern books. I was still in it in that. And then that's what kind of drove me away, was all that stuff. And then I came back in the early 2000s. I started buying first appearances of characters that I like. And then same thing, when I got back in 2017 or whatever it was, I started buying first appearances. So I've owned every major Marvel key outside of Golden Age stuff. And I flipped it for a Batman 1 because I never thought I could own that book, and I do, and then was able to do some other stuff and got some other Golden Age books. So my end game was really just owning a part of history. And
Yeah.
that's what the characters to me are, is not only history of the character, but the history of me as a person. All of them are. So you see a lot of my stuff, Spider-Man, Batman, because that's what I grew up with, and I have some Punisher stuff as well. But
Yeah.
history is
So you,
important.
yeah, definitely. But so you've got like, you know, a lot of money invested in these books. But obviously your willingness to kind of like get new stuff has gone down massively.
Where could I go from here? That's my question. If you owned everything that you've wanted to own outside of like super like Action
An
One
action
and
comic,
Tech,
yeah.
yeah, I mean that's not attainable for me. Like that's ridiculous. Like I don't have $1 million I throw around. But like I said, I was fortunate during that time to own a lot of this stuff. Like if you bought pre 2017, 2018, and you held and you sold a lot or you traded in 2020, 2021, you did really well. And I was fortunate to be able to do that.
Oh wow. So like I said, a lot of your books that you own, the Batman One, the AF-15, those are like end game books for like collectors like myself. Like once I've got that, I'm literally thinking, where the hell do I go from here? But you have like, you know, judging from your display behind you, you have like obviously like arcade one ups. Are they? I don't know if they are behind you.
So I used to have like 6 or 7 arcade one-ups, and it gets to be too much. If you saw this room that I'm sitting in, it's like a big closet. So like I got rid of everything except 2 mods. I have I don't know if you know what the retro shooter is. A retro shooter I modded with the T2, and then there's another mod arcade there. That's the only ones that I have now.
Oh, they're pretty cool. To be fair,
Yeah.
we'll get into that. But do you get into any like FOMO that like modern collectors would get into at the moment, or do you just completely any modern age comics you just like, no thanks, I'm not interested?
So no, it's not that I'm not interested. I would buy it if I can get it for a good price. But the problem is like now when something hot that comes out, nothing's a good price. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like people are paying like crazy amount of money for that the new Batman. I got the new Superman off the rack, but I wasn't able to get the new Batman off the rack, so I still wanted to read it. But I'm not paying $30 or $50, whatever it is, for a copy of it for it right now. So that's where I'm like, there's a limit to what I want to do here.
yeah,
If I can
exactly,
get
yeah.
it and just read it, great. I would love to do it, but if I can't, then I'm not going to go crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's like hard for me because like I get real anxiety selling stuff in terms of I'm like, is there something wrong with the book? Like, is it going to get there? Like, and to do that, you know, like on a big scale to sell stuff out, would just be severe for me. I wouldn't even bother, like, you know, because I've had it before where books have come damaged and you've contacted people and you're like, oh, and they're like, oh, I'll give you like a 20% discount or you can send it back or stuff. I just don't want all that hassle. So like if I wanted an AF-15, I would have to sell like a large portion of my collection, which I just can't see myself doing.
No.
I think I think I'll just leave them for my kids to sell. Like that's like
So,
their problem then.
so you want them to be able to do it? I mean, that's a lot of stuff. I see a lot of guys out there with like so many books. I couldn't even imagine. Like, I would get like anxiety seeing
Yeah.
like a ton of books. And that's where I got to a point where I had like everything. And I'm like, you know what? It's going to be harder to kind of get rid of everything. Not everything. I don't need to own everything. So like for me, it made sense to consolidate. I understand not everybody's like me. Some people have personal attachments to certain things. I didn't. AF-15, I have a personal attachment to, no question. Outside
Yeah.
of that, I have no personal attachment. It's just stuff. So, but I
Oh wow.
think it depends on you. Like if AF-15 meant that much to you and you have 100 books that don't mean that much to you, I think it's worth it. And I understand your trepidation about selling stuff and it getting
Yeah.
damaged, but you also have My Comic Shop, which can, if you mail them books, they could sell them for you. They just keep them and then they just, they pay you once they sell, which is that if you're interested, that's a good way of doing it. This Comic Link does the same thing.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's a fair point actually, because that's I do love mycomicshop.com. I bought so much over the years from them. That would be like a consignment thing, would it? Where you know where they
You can actually list it yourself. They just require you to mail it. that like they require you to send it to them. They won't let you keep it here when they're selling it for you. That's the thing.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Have you done that a lot yourself? Have you?
No, I haven't done it at all, but I did inquire about it selling one of my bigger books because with the book we just talked about that I got, I couldn't justify keeping one of the books that I have. So I said, let me see if I could put it up somewhere. But I don't want to send a book like that off to be sold where it's a lot of money and it's not in my hands. That's to me was a no-no. But if it's a smaller book, I wouldn't have a problem doing that.
No, that make. Yeah, I think the problem is the like the attachment side as well. Like you just said, like you only really have an attachment to the AF-15. I have I have like attachment to a certain degree for the majority of books, but there's probably like a handful on 10 that I probably feel that I would never ever want to leave the collection. So that would be like my Stanley signed ASM 252 newsstand. That my wife got me from like our wedding present, which I thought was awesome.
That is awesome. That's a great wife.
Yeah, no. But yeah, no, I think your collection is just incredible, genuinely.
Thank you.
Just those 5 or 6 books that you've mentioned already, like I could never dream of having them like all of them together. But I think in terms of like dealing with like the burnout, I dread the day that comes for me, and I kind of feel like it is happening, and like you kind of find yourself almost finding other things to collect other than comics. Would you say, like, just to keep you in that
100%.
arena?
Like I don't just collect comics. Like I said, I have Garbage Pail Kids. I have toys. If I showed you this room, it's ridiculous. I got to do another room tour. There's a room tour on my channel. Check it out. But I have some original art stuff that I've collected. But it gets to a point where, like you said before, like I have enough money invested in certain stuff. I don't want to spend any more on it. That's what it is. Like you don't want to go to a point where you're not comfortable
Yeah.
with what you have. So for me, like what I did was like I started collecting and reading trade paperbacks. So
Well,
like some
this is kind of that was like my segue into what else do you collect?
yeah.
So you started reading trade paperbacks. What, just to
Yes.
get yourself back into reading, or just
Get back into reading, but also like I let go of some of the comics that were part of me and my childhood reading, like Dark Knight Returns. I had the whole set. Death in the Family. I had the set in comics, and I just ended up buying the trade paperbacks. Deadpool Kills Marvel Universe is another
yeah,
one I got in trade paperback. Like all of my favorite stories, and even some that I haven't read. Like I bought Hush. I never read it, so I'm going to read it. But like stuff that I missed when I got out of comics, before I came back in, I want to go and read some of that stuff. So that's what I've been doing now. I still collect Masters of the Universe. I have all the original line from the 80s because I'm an 80s kid. Skeletor, my favorite. But
yeah.
some cards I collect here and there. I get video games. I got a few. So yeah, you don't stop as a collector, but I've severely slowed down to a point where like I pick up things here and there, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, through doing YouTube and watching other people show, I'm massively influenced by everybody I watch. So, like, if you showed off, in fact, actually, I think I watched a review you did of that Venom statue there from years ago. Like, I saw that video years ago, probably before I was actually even subscribed to you, if I'm being honest.
So it's funny. It's like back in the day, and I love doing this. Diamond Select Toys send me like 6 statues to review on the channel, and I was like having like 1,500 subs at that point. I
Yeah.
love doing stuff like that. Like the Heath Ledger Joker statue that I have, I did a review on that. I did one on the Batman. I did one on the Superman statue I have. Let me get out of the way for a second. So I did reviews on all those, and I love those videos. I think they were great. I tried to make them fun with great music, like that pertain to the character, and nobody watched them. But you're like the only person.
No, I
So
definitely watched it because I remember looking on YouTube for a review. because my wife bought me a couple of statues to deck out the room. So that was one of the videos that I definitely watched. I remember seeing that. It made me get it, to be fair. So I'm
Awesome.
really I'm really quite easily influenced. So like I like to now collect, ever since getting in touch with Gem Mint Collectibles, I've really started getting into omnibus, like to read omnibus and collect omnibus. I just like the look of the aesthetic of having a bookcase with all those like Marvel omnibuses of all my favorite stories. I really look forward to that. I've got loads of trade paperbacks that I just regularly, if I'm out somewhere and I see them for cheap, I'll buy it because I think, I want to read it, just like yourself.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
what it is. I think you go from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next as a collector. Because like I said, you get to one point and one part of it where you kind of have to cut it off. So like, how do you stay in it? You go to the next part of it. So
yeah. So yeah, it's crazy, and I think we're all like, I don't know where this like collector mentality comes from, because like pre civilization, did like when we were like indigenous or whatever, did we go out and collect berries or bring stuff back to the cave to like display? It's kind of crazy like to think
it's
about it
like,
all.
if you ever go to the beach, you used to collect seashells when you were a kid. Like I know I did when I was go to the shore or
Yeah, well,
something.
my
We go,
kids love that's all my kids love doing when we go to beach,
yeah,
finding stuff to bring back.
yep,
And it just ends up getting thrown away maybe, or given to gran and granddad. Oh,
yep.
look what they got you. But yeah. No, but like so video games, we've got a question here. What is your all-time favorite video game?
Punch Out, and I'm not talking about Mike Tyson's Punch Out from the NES. I'm talking about the original
Oh,
arcade Punch Out, to
oh
the point
wow.
where I had one and I bought one at the whole machine when I was younger. Um, and I love that thing. I had it in my house. Then our house caught on fire and it burned, but that's a whole nother
Ah,
story. Yeah. But that to me, I would spend hours. I don't know if anybody's watching this who lives in New York, New Jersey. Nathan's Hot Dogs, they used to have like a restaurant, Nathan's Hot Dogs. And like behind Nathan's, like inside of Nathan's, they had an arcade in the back. And if you live in New York, you know what I'm talking about. That was my favorite place to go. Ground Round was another one. I don't know if you're familiar with Ground Round. Same thing, that it's I would spend hours there playing that game and others, but that one too, everything is, I love it.
oh wow. Yeah, I remember the Mike Tyson one. As I remember that wasn't that like on the NES.
Yes.
The Mike Tyson one, that like I remember seeing
I
that
love
one.
that. I love that game too, but the original Punch Out was my favorite.
Wow. What's the difference then with the original one, just it being an arcade and not having Tyson's
It,
involvement?
no, the original game had some of the same characters, but there were 6 characters total. That's it. It was Glass Joe. I forgot the second guy. He looked like Sammy Davis Jr. I forget his name. And then it was Bald Bull, Kid Dynamite, and then Mr. Sandman was like the title holder. Forgot
Oh
the
wow.
second guy. Forgot his name. Piston Hurricane. That was his name. See,
Oh
that's how much
cool.
I love the game. So like I just love that game so much. I just never came off of it as a kid.
Now that the arcade games, like I would love. I don't have the room here, but I would love to have like some arcade one-ups or anything like that in the room. It would make it look awesome. So was your favorite NES game Mario then, or is it?
I loved the NES. To me, the NES was the greatest system of all time. Like the amount of games for that system that went on to be classic: Castlevania, Metroid, Super Mario Brothers 1, 2, and 3. Even the original Mario Brothers that I played in the arcade, I love that game. Popeye was another one I loved. If you played that in the arcade, they did have it for the NES. Mike Tyson's Punch Out. All the
Yeah.
classics that went on to be like hits that Nintendo kept doing years and years later. Like I loved all those games, but Punch Out was definitely my favorite arcade, and even Mike Tyson's for the NES was probably one of my favorites for that.
Yeah, I mean, again, another thing that I like to collect is I've started collecting NES and SNES and Super Nintendo games. It's like I look for like a boxed version, and then like trying to get like a manual or the map, and like some of the like the classic RPGs that came out. Like big fan of all like the Square soft stuff. So yeah, that's another expensive line of
So,
tread down.
so you have to be careful because I learned this the hard way. When you like here, I bought this for my LCS and it didn't come with a manual, and then I bought a manual online
Yep.
and it was the wrong manual, so it came back a green label
Oh, you're
qualified.
joking?
Yeah, so you got to be careful, and you have to match up the correcting to the correcting because there's different prints of different of games, obviously. So like this one came back qualified, so you just have to be careful. But you just got to do your research. That's it. I didn't.
You just didn't know. So that was
Yeah,
so the condition. So what does it say on the thing? Does it just say wrong manual in there?
yeah. It says complete in box, incorrect manual. That's it.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh
But
wow.
again,
That
if you find the right manual for this, this is like a $400 to $500 game, like just complete and blue label. But now that I have the wrong manual, it's probably worth like $200.
oh. To be fair, that's shock horror. But the book that the game that I've bought, it's also a green label because it's got a bit of glue on the box, so it's like
That doesn't
restored.
bother me. That doesn't
That does
bother me
not.
as much as that doesn't bother me. Like incorrect manual, like what are you gonna do? But that little bit of glue, what are you gonna do?
I think.
That's
Do you
not like a
think?
comic.
Yeah. Does that bother you more because you submitted that yourself?
Yeah, it bothered me
Then.
because I bought the wrong freaking manual and married it to that, thinking
Oh.
not knowing that it was the wrong one.
That is, I'd never genuinely never even thought about that there being a different print of manuals. Maybe, like obviously like I know that like yours is like NTSC, like your
Yeah,
versions, and ours is like PAL. So I know like the boxes and stuff are different. So I'm guessing there's probably like little serial numbers on the manuals that are completely different for each region maybe. That's crazy, man.
yeah. There's so much
Fuzzy,
stuff that we don't know like that went into the stuff. I never knew anyway.
Fuzzy, thank you very much for joining us. He has put, I presume it's a he, but they have put, what is your best Comic Con experience or most memorable?
So my best Comic Con experience is like when I first got married. I took my youngest to his first Comic Con, and it was
Oh
at the
wow.
Garden State Comic Fest in New Jersey. This is years ago, but he had to be like 5 or 6 years old, so he had never been to one. He was super excited, and I just, teaching him the stuff was fun. But like he got to hold an AF-15 for the first time, stuff like that. So just having him go through the same experiences I went through, I didn't get to go through them at 6 years old. I wish I did,
Yeah.
but giving him that experience at a young age, that's what makes it memorable for me.
So that's like a core memory for you,
Yeah,
and hopefully for them as well.
yeah. He's a good kid. He'll remember
um, Synthetic Panels has asked, are you looking to do your concept live or pre-recorded and edited? Is that
it.
the top 10, is it, or the?
I think they're talking about like if I brought in a partner to do it.
Yeah.
I like lives. I could do both, but it depends the content that we're doing. If we're doing a hot 10, it's got to be pre-recorded because there's just too much going on and I make too many mistakes. It wouldn't be as entertaining in my opinion. Um,
Yeah. I think the problem, well, I'm not saying the problem with lives is that, and you can probably tell by seeing like keeping an eye on the chat is difficult. Like when you're trying to, engage with somebody, and I hope you don't think that like I'm being rude or anything like that. I find it real difficult. Like the last live that I was on, I found it incredibly difficult to be involved in both processes because it was like crazy what was happening on screen, and then like in the chat it was popping off as well, and I was just like, oh my gosh.
yeah, it's tough. I mean, unless that's your sole, like I've done live videos where like we talk about a few things and then I just look at the chat and answer any questions like that. That's fine, but it's not too tedious at that point. But when there's both going on at the same time, it's really hard.
Yeah. Fuzzy has put the same experience with their niece. She went on to become an artist after being inspired. Oh wow! So taking them to a Comic Con and giving that experience really opens people's eyes.
Yeah.
The fact that you could save progression on Zelda still blows my mind. But on the NES, you could save it on that. Could you save it on the first one, the first Zelda?
I
I can't remember
I
if you
don't
could or
even
not.
remember. That's how long ago it's been since I played that game.
Oh
but I
wow.
don't remember. I do think you had to get to a certain checkpoint, but I could be totally wrong. It's been a long time. Zelda wasn't one of my favorite games. I found it to be incredibly hard. Yes, I played it. Yes, I owned it, but I found it to be incredibly hard.
Yeah, kids these days don't know how difficult games were in the past. You had no,
Yeah.
it literally, if you died, it went straight back to the beginning of the game on some of them, and there's none of this save progress and like you stay where you are and just carry on. This
Yep.
was like, oh, you turn the game off because you're like, oh, I can't be bothered to do all that again.
You know how many controllers I've probably thrown? But even that, this is pre-internet, so you couldn't go online and see what you did wrong or what you needed to do. It was like the biggest thing you could do was call Nintendo on that hotline, which I never did, but they
Yeah.
had that for people who were stuck.
I remember watching like a short of they showed like a guy in a Nintendo call center who got stuck on Zelda.
Yes,
Have you
that was
seen
it.
that?
I saw, yeah.
It was just the guy was like, yeah, if you just carry on through to the hallway and then go down and check the blue chest, you need to get that heart, and then you'll be able to go back and complete them. And it's just like the guy had to literally know everything about the game to
Yeah.
that is crazy, man.
How'd you like to have that job?
Yeah, it would have been fun. We had a couple more people join, so I'm just going to say I've just completely missed out. This hasn't even popped up on my chat. Let's have a look. Fuzzy has put, rumor has it, James is so invested in his beautiful hair, he bought a crane to style and put in place. Can you confirm? I can neither confirm or deny that. Question from Steve Bradley. Thank you very much for joining us. Do you have to claim money you make off My Comic Shop or Comic Link on your taxes?
If you sell stuff, yeah, you'll get a thing, a statement.
That's a good question. Let's have a look. We have We Love Comics. Thank you very much for joining us. Really appreciate you joining us.
What's up, Chris?
We have Legion of Comics. What up, MJ and guest? Thank you very much for joining us, Mark. We Love Comics, it says, statues are definitely cool, but they take up so much room, especially larger ones. I don't know how Gem Mint does it. Seriously, like, don't know how you can have all those Sideshow, Studio X, whatever they are, just sitting around. Honestly,
they are really cool. The bigger they are, the cooler they are. I'm not gonna lie to you.
You just need the space. So, like in America, your houses are like notoriously much bigger than ours, unless you're like, like really financially secure over here. You don't get as much. Our houses aren't as big. So us collectors are nothing but hoarders who just happen to hoard things that might be of value to them. We have Rogue Effect. Thank you very much for joining us. We love the Punch Out game. So did Steve Bradley. Used to be at their Chuck E. Cheese. It was someone's called Pistol Hurricane. Yep. Helping you out. My bad for missing all this completely. We've got Late Night Comics. Thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate it. And then Manu has put, not that I wanted you to have the wrong thing or green label, but it's nice to know the grader was in the know about it. Definitely.
I got to see so far with my CGC video game stuff. They've been pretty on point and not as so far as comics, but I've been impressed with what I've done, even though it's a really small amount.
No, I mean, Manu is the kind of like go-to guy when something like this happens with CGC. So it's good to know that CGC actually checked the booklet. To be fair. Rogue Fett, no problem. You are both awesome for what you do. Thank you very much. Really appreciate that, buddy. But the next question is kind of like probably the main big question of talking. So it's the comic book community news. What made you start doing this? Was there a specific event that happened that made you think, you know what, people really like to talk drama, because drama kind of like sells? What was a specific event that you had in mind when you started these?
So obviously, like you've seen all the stuff unfold on the comic book community, right? You've seen Sticky call people out on his channel, and he's called me out like 3 times whatever. People can have their opinion. It doesn't bother me. But other people did certain things, and my whole thing with the comic community news, how can we take like a situation like that we have where people are going back and forth in a community that a lot of us care about and just kind of make fun of everybody, and not
Yeah.
in a bad way, because I don't ever say anything about all these people. It's just I'm pulling content from them, just like people have pulled content from me and just kind of compiling it and putting it up in a spoof,
And
like a
a news
SNL
format.
spoof. Yeah, it's the news format was something that I always thought would be funny, because I've done other stuff. Like I did the New York Comic Con version of it, and there wasn't any comic book community stuff in it. So the comic book community news can be anything, not just the drama. I did the dealer interview things with it. I did what else? We talked about I did talked about CGC and CBCS with the whole Banana Gate and other stuff
Oh
like
yeah.
that. How CBCS went back at them and did the whole video.
Shots
So
fired. Yeah.
yeah, it's just about like, all right, all the stupid things that are happening right now, how can we kind of make fun of it all? And not in a bad way, because I still use CGC. You could see, even though it's video games, I still use the company. But
Yeah.
like everybody does, they call them out for the stuff that's going on. Same with the drama stuff. Like I think certain people take it a little bit too far, don't get me wrong. My intention is to just be entertaining, and it's
Yeah.
nothing more than that. If you put something out in a video and I just screenshot it and put it in my video, you did it. I'm just putting it out there for everyone else to see. So like guys like Razor who have done videos like this, I have 11,000 subs, you have 200 something, whatever it is. I'm hoping I'm getting more people attracted to your channel.
Yeah.
But I don't put anything out there that you didn't put out there yourself.
Yeah. No, I mean, for anyone who's not aware, and hopefully they all are, but the comic book community news, like, I mean, look at that thumbnail, is awesome. Like the difference from like like your first one, when you've gone from that to this to that, like that's just that, like like as being very complimentary here, but like you've evolved a lot over the time on YouTube, and that Jim Jerkhammer. And then you've got Donna D Nuts.
These nuts, yeah.
These nuts, yeah.
But
quality.
That's the point. Like the names and the look are so ridiculous that nobody should be. It's just about laughing, right, guys? Like I'm dressed in a freaking blonde wig, for God's sake. Like it's just meant to be funny. If I came on my regular stuff and I said, "Oh, whatever," then you should be whatever. But because I'm in a wig, or because I'm doing a character, I'm not doing me. I'm doing a character talking about everything that's going on. That's the thing. It's supposed to be a parody.
I mean, Donna just steals the show.
Yeah,
100%. You in that blonde wig. Yeah, it's just it's quality. But like we mentioned earlier, where we talked about, I was going to get rid of that comic community news because it's blocking the thing. But you've had 14,000 views on this particular video. And I know we spoke a bit about this backstage, and you hope Blom don't bring it up, but do you think there are like 14,000 people in the comic book community that watch like regular videos, or has this gone out further?
So no, let me explain exactly what this is. Okay, so if you watch my other two comic book community news video, they have like 1,500 or 1,400 views. So what I did was I promoted this video. And what that is, you use a YouTube promotion where you pick a video and they push it out to people who normally don't watch your channel. And the point of it is just like, when you put out a YouTube video, like they push it out to people who like generally watch your content, or people who think that they would enjoy your type of content. Where I took this video and you see a man dressed in a wig, and it says comic community news with a ridiculous face or whatever it is on the thumbnail. And we're going to push it out to people who would normally not watch my content and see what happens. That's why it has 14,000 views.
All right. So, I mean, I thought it was because you mentioned like, it was like, you've got a particular name in the description or the title of the video. So I thought that might have generated you some views. But I have seen that where YouTuber basically said we will push the video out at a certain cost. Do you mind saying how much that was? Or
$100. I have no
Oh,
problem
wow.
saying I paid $100 just see what happened, 'cause I told you backstage, I have a friend of mine who has an arcade channel. You guys know I do arcade stuff and I like arcade stuff. So he told me he did it and he said he got some mixed results because he chose to push it outside of the United States. I chose to push it inside the United States. I don't remember if it was in Britain or not as well. It might
Yeah.
have been as well, but I decided to like, let's see what happens if I throw $100 at a video and see what happens. And that video took off and it really hasn't grown since that.
Yeah.
But and it shows because my other two comic book community news videos really have about the same number of views. So it's just about pushing that video out to other people who haven't seen my stuff before. And I only chose his video because of how ridiculous the thumbnail was with me and her on it.
Yeah. So if you don't mind me asking again, Laurence, so in terms of monetization with that, then did you get like recoup some of that $100 back from that video or not?
Not really. Like the way monetization works is that like it's retainment, people who watch it and stay on that video for a long time. So yeah, like if your video goes out to like your subs and they watch the full thing and they stay on through most of it or if all of it, it starts to push it out to other people that
Yeah.
normally don't see it. So that's how it works. In this case, you got views, but the durations weren't that long. So that tells me like, all right, you got pushed to the people who probably clicked on the thumbnail to see what the hell is this, and I did get some subs out of it, which is fine because the hope is that the people who do sub, they want to watch some of your other content. They haven't seen you before. That's the whole premise behind it.
Yeah. And so like as I mentioned earlier, like the whole, CGC seem to crop up every couple of months with something that's happened where, some sort of scandal or some sort of news that's breaking out where they've kind of given you some like I don't want to say ammunition, but they're giving you something to talk about in this comic book community news. Are you constantly got like your ears to the ground, checking to see anything on Instagram or on Facebook or any other source of information to try and
In
see what you can put out?
Instagram, I mean, Manu breaks a lot of news. So
Yeah,
sometimes like he's a big help because he posts a lot of stuff and then I'll get to check it out. So he does a lot of the work. Kudos to him. But it's not something that I actively look for. If I see it and I can make fun of it and like do it in a playful way, I'll add it. And it's a lot of work. I actually have to script the thing out. I'm actually reading from like
yeah,
a
of
panel
course.
here. So like I have to make it sound right. I have to make it sound like a broadcast. So like if I find like a newsworthy thing, yeah, great. Like one thing I added this time was like the comments that I got. The comments were some of the funniest things about the video, in my opinion. I have a whole new set of them from the last one. So if I ever do it again,
You're gonna read them
the
out again.
comment, yeah. So some of the comments are hysterical.
It's what's really made me laugh is Alex has put, can he get Donna's digits?
Yeah,
Is
absolutely, man.
Manu has put Donna isn't real. What the fuck, man? Late Night has put they wrote about drama in fanzines back in the day. I think with drama, I think like there's like this like macabre people like, oh, I don't like drama, but you got to be in the know. Like you don't want to be like, it's almost like like a car crash. You don't want to look, but you kind of have to. Like
You have to you wanna tune in because you wanna see what this person's gonna say, and I hate to say it, but, like, that's what it is. Like, people who put out consistent stuff, like, I know me and you were talking today about some stuff that may be coming about, like, it's like, "Alright, what the hell's gonna happen? I cannot miss this because something ridiculous is about to happen."
Yeah. And it's like, stuff going on that's currently going on. It's just like your videos are just kind of like, what you've said. You're making like a light of the situation, trying to bring a bit of humor to it. And I'll be honest with you, I thoroughly enjoyed it to the point where I've even, like I mentioned earlier, I joined channel membership just so I could watch that video a few days early. I don't even know how many days had it been out for. Like probably like 2 or 3 or 4. I don't know what your usual process is.
So like for the hot 10, like I try to get that out on Tuesday. This week it was late because I had a million things going on with work. So I get it out Tuesday for everybody else, Tuesday night, and then it comes out Thursday for everyone. Sometimes it gets pushed to Wednesday. Other stuff is just like whenever I have something coming out Monday that I put up yesterday. So channel members have it like 3 or 4 days early. It's like whenever I get around to it, I put it to them first and then I set it for a time in the future.
Yeah, and you I mean, yeah, so it was a fantastic video that your latest one that I watched, and like you said, like there is like the usual view count for it is like 1,500 subscribers, so 1,500 views, um, and you very much mentioned the comment section, and and I mean, some people don't always understand humor. Like they
Mhm.
always think it's like you're poking fun, or it's quite clear to me that you're just making light of the situation.
Yeah.
You're not prodding anyone or trying to annoy anybody.
No, it's I have good enough relationship with everybody out there, and maybe not the people who are in the video because I don't really know any of them. We don't speak, we don't whatever, but
Yeah,
um I just take what's already been put out and I compiled
yeah,
it
yeah,
into something. It's like, all right, this is what happened. This is what was said this week, this month, or whatever on comic book community news. That was it. And just try to make it funny. Now, I'm going to say this. I'm not the channel to kind of go out and just start a war with somebody. That's not
okay,
me. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to go back at somebody because I've been called out on other people's channel, being called names and stuff, which is fine. Like if that's what you want to do, go for it. I don't care. Um, that's it. Like if I could just screenshot your stuff and put it up because you put it out there, that's fine. I'm not making a habit of it. That's for sure. Like if something comes out that I think is funny that I'll share, I may do it. But if it's going to cause like a war, I will just skip it and I'll just post the CGC stuff and the CBCS stuff because there's going to be more of that, right? We just saw Modern Times triple, and I mentioned that in the last one.
yeah,
So we'll
yeah.
see.
The turnaround times are just, I don't understand what's going on, considering a lot less people are sending stuff in. So I'm hearing, but I don't know if how true that is. But in terms of you saying then that in the past you've had people come at you or mention you in videos, how does like that make you feel? Does it make you feel like angry, or does it make you feel annoyed, or does it make you just feel, you know, that I'm kind of being mentioned because I'm kind of relevant or making waves?
That's a great point. The first time you see it, you kind of question, well, what the hell's going on here? But the more you think about it is like, you know what? I must be doing something right if someone is watching my channel, right? Someone
Yeah,
has to be watching my channel in order to do something. So whoever out there, if you get put in somebody's video, that's not always a bad thing. That means somebody's watching you. As long as you're not degrading you or putting you down, fine. People called me, Mighty Mouse or whatever. I never understood that, but it's fine. Like, you know what? If that's the worst you're gonna do, what the hell do I
I
care? At
think
least you're
it's
watching my
just
channel.
I think with Mighty Mouse, it's obviously just because of the name Mighty.
Yeah.
It's just a link, isn't it?
So that's fine. Like, it doesn't bother me at all. Like, it's like, why? But, obviously, and I'll just say this, Sticky, when he first started his thing, the first video he put out, and I watched his stuff before this whole thing's all like when he went into the comic shops or the comic cons and started talking about the comics and the prices, I understood that because I've done videos where I've gone to cons and the prices were ridiculous. And I'm
Yeah,
like, and I've come home and I've done a video saying I'm annoyed at the prices. Great. I watched that because I understand it. But when he did the first video talking about Bry's comics and swag, I remember leaving a comment saying, "Did you get permission from them to kind of do that?" And he didn't respond because, or maybe he did, and he said something. That's when he came up with the Mighty Mouse thing. I just didn't understand why you would go and poke the bear like that. I get it in retrospect now, but because that's what people were watching his channel for. At a certain point, it probably started to pick up views. He started to get subs, so I get it. I wouldn't initiate a video doing that and like dressing up as someone else in the community and doing it. I understand why it was done. I just hope the guys that he did that to, are okay with that stuff. But I'm not. That's why I dressed up as Don. I'm not dressing up as somebody else. You know what I mean? Like that I
yeah.
know.
I don't think I've actually watched that video that you're on about. The Bryce and Swagger House one. What's it about? Oh, it doesn't matter what it's about, to be fair, but
He just I think he dressed up as them and like did like a skit as them.
oh, okay, all right, yeah, I might have watched it. I can't remember. Um, yeah. So, are you worried though that doing these sorts of skits and these comedies about the comments and stuff that you might be putting yourself in like the firing line or the sights of particular drama channels?
Oh, I 100% know somebody's gonna do something. I 100% know somebody at some point is going to do something. But at the same time, 99% of my channel has nothing to do with that. So if you want to come at me and do whatever, be my guest, do what you got to do. It is what it is. I'm friendly with, I think, 99.9% of the collectors out there, especially
Yeah,
people who I know and see or watch my channel. I try to answer questions to try to be as positive as possible. So even the people who may have a problem with me, send me a message. Like people have a problem with me, it's fine. I get it. Sometimes I like, if you want to take it to a certain level. I don't think it needs to go with that. Let's have a conversation. It was all meant in good fun. You put the stuff
yeah,
out on the internet. I just reshared it.
yeah. No, that's and that's comes down to a lot of it where I kind of feel like people just need to sometimes be a bit more human and understanding, and like if you like instead of making everything anyone's personal business public, just have a civilized conversation backstage or in private. And but it's all kind of like for views, I find.
Yeah.
And obviously the thing is, if people were talking about these types of situations and putting this content out there and it wasn't getting views, then it just nothing would happen. But the problem is it's getting the views. That's the issue.
Mhm.
Do you feel that?
Yeah, 100%. It's 100% about views. There's no question. Even with comic community news, it's obviously what can we do that would kind of get people to watch it. It's not just about making fun of it. Let's turn it into a show that people want to watch, because at the end game, this is about views. YouTube. When you start out, it's one thing. It kind of turns into something else. And you alluded to it earlier. You're constantly checking your phone to see how your videos are doing. That's because you care about your growth. You care about your content. You want to see if you're
Yeah.
entertaining people. That's what this is about. Yes, I love comics. Yes, I love toys and cards and arcades and all that stuff. It is part about me, but it also, you want to get better at what you're doing.
Yeah. Do you know who Wahoo Comics is?
Yes, I put his video. I didn't know who he was till I saw that video, and I pulled that and put it into comic book community news.
Yeah, so that I mean, again, like similar to your skit video, he's done a couple of skit videos where I found them really funny. Like, and you said you're looking for that person that adds a bit of entertainment. I think Michael at Wahoo Comics would be a good shout or contender for that. Because mix and maxing like uh, actual information and value with entertainment, I think that would be a good mix for you. With him, maybe I don't know.
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely.
but in terms of like I said, you have to have an ear to the ground. Are you like constantly checking? How are you coming across the drama? Because sometimes it's not so. It's not like a CGC thing where people are talking about it everywhere. It's happened like on a live stream or you
It's
know
it's it's through YouTube. Like, so if I'm watching a Sticky Goose video, if I'm watching a Razor video, if I'm watching a Wahoo video, if I'm watching your video because I pulled stuff from your thing that you did
yeah,
with Comic Journey, I watch you guys. So like, take that for what it is. Like, anytime somebody pulls content, they have to be watching your video. No one's sending me anything. Nobody
yeah,
has ever sent me anything about anyone.
yeah.
Um, so means I'm watching you guys stuff. I want to see what you guys are going to do next. That's it.
I mean, to be fair, I try to avoid the drama. I'm not really. That's not really what I want to be about. But sometimes it creeps, obviously, into the conversations. And in my last video that I did with CJ and Sticky Goose, I kind of got accused for clout chasing. So I'm purposely attempting not to talk about Sticky Goose. Probably just because I'm just trying to be respectful for what he accused me of. So why do you think that the comic book community news has started in terms of what do you feel like has changed within the comic community, like in the last however many months you started doing these? Because obviously there's been a large influx of stuff happening.
So
How
you
do
know
you
what I
see
think
that?
it is? You know what I think it is because content is drying up. We can go back to 2020, 2021, where everybody and their grandmother was buying comics. Everybody was unboxing comics. Everybody was into comics. The movies were coming out. Things were going crazy. All that has gone like this. People are selling comics now like never before, via Instagram, via YouTube. We see consistently seeing YouTube live sales selling comics. So when all the content is drying up, and basically it has, right? Outside of, you know, live streams like this where we're having a conversation, price data like that I do, that Swaggle does, and he does
Yeah,
other stuff as well. So do I. But like the data, the content is drying up. So people are trying to find new ways to find views. And I think the drama has gotten some of these guys views. And that's what it's become about because you're starting to see their channels take off. But the problem is once the drama ends, what happens to the channel? Do people only tune in for the drama and not the rest of the stuff? I
I
think
think that.
that's that's what's going to happen. Like, yes, I made a spoof about it, but that's not my channel. Like, if
Yeah, yeah.
we'll make fun of each other, like, and maybe I'll have one of these guys come in and be a news reporter, report on something on the chat on the comic book communities. How funny would that be?
That
As
would
long
be
as it's
great.
not like, yeah, as long as it's not like you're not berating somebody or doing something like that, I don't care. Like, you want to talk about CGC, I think that's fine. Or talk about CBCS, I think that's fine. Like, but
I think the like these big corporations or companies, I think it's fair game. Like you can talk, take shots at them for the stuff that they've done wrong, but I think like taking shots at other channels or other people's livelihoods, I think
correct.
because some people here get this is kind of like their like an income stream for them, to live. So I think taking shots at people, I think that's wrong, or trying to get their content removed or stuff. I think very negatively about it. I do.
Yeah, that's the whole point of what I said before. Like, come up with something creative.
Yeah,
Come up with something creative that nobody's done before. And it's hard. I'm not saying it's easy. It is super hard to come up with something that nobody has done before. Even if it's not in comics, it could be something else. I've tried other things here on the channel like GPK and toys and stuff. I don't
yeah,
get as many views, but I do like talking about that. But I think whoever could come up with the most creative solution and do something that nobody has done before, I think that's where the magic is.
yeah, yeah. And it's all about trying to find that new thing that's going to get people excited, and it's hard chasing that dragon, like or that dream of trying to get that thing that people are going to watch. And I think drama at the moment just seems to be that thing that everyone seems to want to watch.
I get it because you want to see what's next.
Yeah.
Like if when I do the hot 10, it's like we don't want to we know what's coming. I don't need to, I don't need to tune in because I know what's coming.
Yeah. And like Darth Lopez has said that the multiverse is coming. I don't know if you've heard of his. Have you heard of this thing that he's talking about?
I,
There's
I, I was gonna say he messaged me the other day about said the same thing, but I don't know exactly what he means, the multiverse.
so
I'm a
effectively in essence, it's like there's a comic book YouTube that probably like yourself, myself, and others, like there's a portion, but there's other like groups out there that we just never have known about, and they've all been kind of pulled together through this channel, that notorious channel where they've talked about other channels and stuff like that. It's all been brought in together, and Darth Lopez is of the opinion that there's a battle going on right now, or a war in it, which quite clearly, as of today, there is. But it's one of them things, I guess. Yeah. Alex has said, yeah, MJ Comics, that was uncomfortable. Was that about the live with
yeah. I think
DJ?
that's what he's talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, if you go back and watch it, you can see that that I'll be honest with you. that for me was probably one of the worst. It was the worst interview I've probably felt I've put out on the channel. I didn't think I didn't enjoy myself that day, if I'm being honest. But yeah,
Yeah, I had mentioned it to you before we
yeah,
started. It was, I mean, whatever. I don't need to get into it, but again, like it's tough, especially when you're live and you're talking to somebody and whatever. It's just you don't know where the conversation could lead. So that's why while I enjoy doing live, I stick to comic content when I'm doing a live stuff.
yeah. That's I think that's probably going to be the way forward for me, really. And I think the fact that that was when that was live, and it was like I had plenty of people message me afterwards saying like, "I hope you're okay" and stuff like that. Which, hand on heart, like, you know, and even like the comments on the video afterwards, like, "Thank you everybody who reached out and asked me if I was okay" and stuff like that. And I know you yourself, Laurence, even did as well. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, there's a lot of great people. Like for all the guys with the drama, there are so many great people in this comic book community. And people that say there's not a community, there 100% is. I see people all the time, the people who live by me in the tri-state area, and you obviously being overseas,
Yeah.
if there wasn't a comic book community, we would never be talking, have a conversation, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. No, it's nice to see that there is an outreach of people who kind of care. So thank you very much, everybody who got in touch. But yeah, so where do you see the comic book community news going? Do you think like you've got anything juicy coming up, or do you think like
Now,
you're waiting to pounce?
yeah, it's more about when there's news. I'm not gonna to force anything. There has to be news for me to spoof on. If there's no news, I'm not gonna do it. Like I said before with the comments, some of the comments are funny, so if I ever do another one, I'll put those comments in. But there has to be something that happens. Like the CBCS stuff happened, the CGC stuff happened, the New York Comic Con was rolling around, and I did some interviews there, so I made that part of it as well.
Yeah, yeah,
There has to Towards the end of the year, there's no cons going on. There's a couple of cons like March next year, but I don't see it being like a comic book community news thing. Something really has to hit the fan for me to do something like that, and
yeah,
it has to be
yeah.
worth it.
No, no, no. And you know, I got total respect for you for doing that and putting yourself out there, and I love that content. I genuinely love it. I think I think that humor is for me, humor, I think, is kind of like sounds really cheesy, but I think that humor is kind of like a gateway to someone's soul. Like just randomly, like I think like if you can touch people that way and make people laugh, like it's an incredible thing. And you've clearly done that for quite a few people watching those videos. So fair play.
Thank you. It's like for me, like I have friends outside of comics, like I grew up with them. I don't know if you have friends like this, and I'm sure some of you out there do. All we do is break each other's balls.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
make fun of like, that's like that's what it is, like, we're breaking each other's chops, so it's to me, I don't second guess it as long as it's not taken too far.
yeah. And you know, I hope that no one does, because you're
Yeah,
not that sort of person, and you know, and I don't think they will. But sometimes you just never know with people.
exactly.
But we're coming to my last question, Laurence. So I really appreciate you
Mm.
talking about this. But the last question is, what is the future of Mighty Comics and Collectibles? You talked about maybe dropping the comics and collectibles to entertainment. What do you want the outline of your YouTube channel or brand to be?
What I want and what's going to happen are probably 2 different things, but I would love to do something, I would love for this to be full time and just me just do this. It doesn't have to be YouTube, but any type of entertainment where I can either do a podcast or a show, because I really enjoy just talking and giving whatever knowledge I can. Like a big part of my life that nobody knows anything about is football. Like I coached football for a long time. I love it, and I could probably go in depth to most people can't. Even just watching a game that I consistently do. Um, I thought about just doing that full time and becoming a coach full time.
Yeah,
I had an offer high school job that I turned down because I wanted to concentrate on other things. But I would love to do this full time. Is it ever going to happen, or is it ever going to be likely? Probably not.
Yeah.
But
You,
in the
you,
meantime, we're just gonna push it and see what happens.
so you talk about coaching. Did you used to did you play at a good level, or you just like really enjoy the sport?
Both. I've always been a fan of the sport. I played a little bit, not in college and high school, but then I also coached youth. I got offered because my oldest plays football. He's now in high school. He's a junior. He'll be a senior next year. But I coached them from when they were in fifth grade on, and then I got offered a coach at a regional high school over here. I an offer, and I declined it because I just finished coaching at that level, and I wanted a bit of a break. I'm kind of regretting that now a little bit because I'd probably be a couple years into it and a little bit further along as a coach at the
Yeah.
level. But it's something I may decide to do again in the future if the right opportunity comes.
And you said that when you were coaching, like you kind of like took a hiatus from YouTube because you could presumably it was probably difficult to do
Yeah.
both
Yeah. It was
things.
3 hours of practice at every day. And then we'd have a game on Saturday night and one on Sunday early
Oh
afternoon.
man,
Yeah.
no wonder. No, that's incredible. So
But I loved it.
past couple of years, I helped out with my daughter. She plays soccer. I helped out with her team, and I found, you know, I found it difficult to do YouTube and that as like a hobby almost, even though I was there really just doing it for my daughter. I did get some enjoyment from it because my father-in-law does it, my daughter's involved, and we built like a little family, and it's really nice, like the girls and the parents and stuff like that. So but I just couldn't give enough attention to doing this, and this is ultimately like, probably like my main hobby, doing this. So no, I totally understand where you're coming from. Do you think that you could potentially do coaching as a profession if the opportunity was given to you? Would you do that and jack all this in? Like
I
I'm
would
talking if we, like I don't know, like a
full
NFL
time.
team or yeah,
No, I think I'm too old at this point. I'm in my mid 40s, but at the high school level, the problem is like yes, it's I could definitely coach at the high school level. The problem is I would need to be able to work a schedule where I could be at practice every day and stuff like
yeah,
that. So my main thing is I'm going to be changing. I don't want to say changing careers, but taking a step back in a couple of years from what I'm doing at the current moment and going into something else. So could I possibly get like a teaching job at a parochial school where in my area, the parochial schools are the big time football programs. Like they're really, really good. Like the number one um, high school team in the country is from New Jersey, is from my area.
okay.
And like, so like, is it possible? Yes, I probably have to get a teaching job to do that. And in a parochial school, I could get a teaching job teaching something, but a public school, no, because I don't have a degree. You don't need a degree in a parochial school to teach. So we'll see what happens, but it's a possibility still.
No, I genuinely, Lawrence, I wish you all the best in the future. Honestly, you've been fantastic. I put a question out in the chat just before we conclude the interview, but if anyone has got any further questions they want to ask you, Darth Lopez has asked, what is your favorite NFL team?
I am sad to say that I am a freaking New York Jets fan. I 40 years of pure straight misery. So there
Oh
you
man.
go.
So I mean, I don't follow American football or anything like that, but I grew up supporting a football team or soccer team called Manchester United.
Of course,
And
yeah, I know.
um so Darth Lopez, I think, is a Manchester United supporter as well. So the past decade or so has been miserable for us. We've normally been quite decorated in glory, but he's asked that. Alex is a Raiders fan by the looks of it. Are they like LA based? Are they?
They're in Vegas now.
Oh, Vegas. Oh well. Fuzzy has asked, if there was one video of yours to suggest to a new viewer, what video would it be? Great question.
That is phenomenal question. My question before I answer that is what kind of content you like? Because I wouldn't suggest like a hot 10 breakdown because I like the videos where I talk about like one of my favorite videos is my ultimate collection video. If comic collectors, it depends what you want. If you want like what are the books that I want to own in the future for my collection, I love that video. There's a lot of information in that video. I think it's done very well to boot. That would be one. If it depends what you like, but that to me was a well put together video. There was another one I did called the hierarchy of comic investments,
Okay.
which I don't necessarily want people to watch investment videos because I don't normally like them, but there's a lot of great information. I have like the actual like flow chart that starts from the top and goes all the
Oh
way
wow.
down, and it's a two-parter. So there's a great again a lot of information and price data in that video, and I think they're well done.
I'm going to disagree with you, Laurence. I'm going to say that people need to go and watch this video.
Why?
And they need to go back and watch your first one. If it was a whole quantity one, it's going to be some unboxing, man.
Yeah. Well, like I said, if you go back early enough, you'll see some crazy stuff.
Man, what a great question and a great answer, to be fair. Let's have a look. What's the other questions? Great question. Oh, we've got Mike Cecilia in the house. Thank you very much, Mike, for joining us. Forgive his lateness. How dare you, sir, for being late? Totally missed the live. Keep the stream going, man. Just hang out. I mean, we could. I mean, it is like 11 o'clock here for me, and I'm at work at 5, but it's fine.
I know. I'm up early too. Like I'm up at like 5 in the morning as well. So it's
Yeah,
a little. It's only 6 p.m. here, but
Michael Cecilia is a Eagles fan. Try
Lucky
being a Vikings fan. Never won a Super Bowl. We have Karen's Page is in the house. She is a Jets fan. So
he says if you're a Jets fan, I'm sorry, and she should be because it's 40 years of misery.
yeah. Karen's Page is a fantastic channel as well. She shows off a load of beautiful comic art. Thank you for joining us. Comic CJ, we've got my man CJ in the house. Thank you very much. He's asking if we are live.
Is that sarcasm?
Yeah, he gets asked that in pretty much every live show that he does.
Oh, okay.
Steve Bradley, great interview. And Comic Journey has asked if I've made you cry yet.
No, not yet. It takes a lot for me to cry.
No, I've not made him cry, to be fair. To be fair, there's not really been a topic where that, has come really. It's not like you haven't done anything where you need to redeem or, admit you've done something wrong or anything like that, so don't worry about that. I appreciate everybody watching. I've really enjoyed talking to you, Laurence. You've been a fantastic guest. I would love to chat in the future or do anything with you at some point in the future. I think you have an awesome channel. You've done really well to get to where it is. And I wish you all the best in the future, buddy.
Likewise, man. Thank you for having me on. It was such a fun 2 hours just talking, right? Just having a good time. That's what I think a lot of people forget sometimes in this community. Just come on and have a good time, talk comics. Don't get caught up in all the other stuff. But yeah, this is fabulous. And don't be a stranger. Message me. Let's talk. Definitely we got to do something else in the future regarding content.
Yeah, of course, Matt. I'm totally down for it. I'd love to. I think probably more stuff like this is needed in the community to try and get people kind of remaining positive. And Gemma, my wife has put, "What are you going to clip?" I have not thought about anything. No, I try to do I don't know if you've seen them, but I tried to clip and
the shorts.
The shorts. Yeah, that's kind of become my thing. But yeah, I'm sure I'll find something where you're talking about.
Yeah,
probably,
you got it.
In fact,
it'll bring other people. It'll bring other people to your channel. So definitely do it.
Yeah. Mike has subbed up to you, which is great. So
thank you, Mike. Appreciate that, buddy.
But no, thank you very much, everybody, for watching. You've been fantastic as usual. Manu, my man, thank you very much for giving us your time. Really appreciate it. Sort that hat out or that snap back for.
I'll message you, bro.
That'll be good. But no, appreciate everybody. Thank you very much for watching. And we'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
So, how do I play an outro? Hold on. Yeah, I ain't going to play an outro. We'll just wave.